Immortality! That has always been a fascinating concept, especially in the world of fiction. There are a number of characters we have seen to be invincible, and Deadpool is one such example, with his regenerative powers and cursed immortality. So, the question is he truly immortal? Sure seems hard, but many people think it may be possible. And today, that's what we're going to explore, the limits of his regeneration, other weaknesses, and all the potential, though messy, ways to end his chaotic existence. First, we are going to talk about how to kill Deadpool. Do you know what happens when Deadpool takes a bullet to the head? If it hits the right spot, like the frontal cortex or the hippocampus, which are the areas of the brain that are connected to memories, then yes, it definitely can mess with his memories. Even though Deadpool has an amazing healing factor in his body, his brain is a different organ, which means that if it receives damage, then it is game over. The brain controls all purposeful actions, and some components are especially essential for memory and reason. Therefore, if those areas are impacted, it can significantly distort Deadpool's mental capabilities. Also, neural connections, the little pathways where various regions of the brain can communicate. If these connections become damaged, Deadpool might not afford to perform in a way he is used to. His physical condition would allow the whole body to recover from such injury, but if the neural connections were affected, he might still be in trouble. Same thing as having a physical problem with the hardware of the computer and still have a problem with the software. The body could be okay, but the brain is a big mess.
Similarly, what could potentially slow down Deadpool's crazy healing abilities? Among them, cellular disintegration is one of the methods. In other words, if you kill every cell in his body, he will not be able to rebuild the new one. Imagine Deadpool taking an energy beam to the chest so hot, so powerful that it destroys every cell in his body and leaves nothing behind that could begin to repair itself. Or imagine him before a weapon that disassembles him at a molecular level, reducing his physical body to dust or vapor, kind of like Thanos' snap. In such cases, it would provide nothing for his body's natural regeneration to work with, leaving him unable to return. In such situations, the main focus is to make sure that there is nothing left of him or him of it. Since there was no cells left whole, his body's healing factor would have been unable to find a place to begin repairing.
So basically, if there's a molecule left of him, then he's coming back.
Right.
He's regrowing.
Every cell in his body, every molecule in his body, and you make sure they do not exist, right? That means Deadpool is no longer immortal. But is that realistic? Not really.
Okay, moving on. Suffocation may seem like a good way to kill Deadpool because we all need oxygen. But do not forget that this will not actually murder him. He will surely heal back in no time, so once he gets oxygen again, he will wake up and be himself again. If you go further and keep him without oxygen for a longer time, and this might too cause some brain damage, which will mess with his memory and how he functions. It's a bit like what happens to people who don't get enough oxygen for a while. Their brain starts to suffer. But even then, Deadpool's healing factor will likely kick in at some point and fix the damage. So suffocating him is not a way to stop him, but rather a way to slow him down and buy as much time as possible. His body can recover from almost any injury or sickness, meaning that although depriving him of oxygen will slow him down in the short term, it won't be able to put him out of commission for the long.
I honestly think suffocation would not work at all. Suffocation would never kill Deadpool. Another way to handle Deadpool is to chop off his head. This could be a temporary fix since his body will not be able to function without his head, as it is evident in the story, but merely severing it is not sufficient. This means that the head and the body should not touch each other. If they are to come into contact, he will come back to life, and then we are right back to where we started. So, the next step is to secure the head. We could lock it up or try to find a way to destroy it. This might stop him from coming back. Also, it's important to keep an eye on the head because if someone else finds it, they could try to put it back on his body. That would undo everything for us. Handling Deadpool is tricky because of his healing powers, of course. However, if you can behead him and ensure that the head and the body are different entities, you will be in a better position to neutralize him. It may not be the most comprehensive plan, but at least it's a plan. This could be a good way to stop Deadpool from regenerating, but do you think it will truly stop him from healing? Yeah, I mean, we see Deadpool get ripped in half, and he just grows a new pair of legs. So I don't think cutting him in half or cutting off his head and making sure they're separate would really do anything.
Okay, so let's move on to the possibility of killing Deadpool with magic. The first way is through magical artifacts. These are items or weapons that have been cast with spells that are designed to counter the use of healing. Characters like Doctor Strange could be instrumental here. In Doctor Strange from 2016, we see Stephen Strange with his mastery over the mystical arts, capable of manipulating time, reality, and dimensions. Given his vast knowledge and access to powerful relics like the Eye of Agamotto, Doctor Strange could theoretically might be able to devise a spell. Another way is using special metals. Consider Wolverine and his ability to have claws. This metal is scarce and possesses high tensile strength. For example, a sword made from adamantium, when it slashes, the cut never heals. This kind of weapon could disable Deadpool for a longer period. If it exists or can be developed, a metal that works against the healing process, then it becomes a potential weapon against Deadpool. However, these ideas are not easy to implement. It is not easy to come across a wizard to make a magical weapon or to discover a new metal. But in a world with mutants, superheroes, and magic, it is not a mere impossibility. But with all these efforts, can Deadpool really die?
Magic seems like the only real possibility here, like the only explainable possibility.
Yeah, because magic, you could just create something out of nothing and be like, this works. This works now.
Let's truly deep dive into Deadpool's cursed immortality. Thanos cursed Deadpool with immortality, which means Deadpool cannot die and be with his mistress Death. This curse stops him from experiencing conventional death. No matter what happens, Deadpool will keep coming back. This situation frustrates him because he wants to be with his mistress Death, but he can't. Getting rid of this curse is not an easy task. To break it, only a person stronger than Thanos can do that. This includes entities such as the Living Tribunal or the One Above All. The Living Tribunal is a cosmic entity that is responsible for maintaining the cosmic order in the multiverse. The One Above All is even more powerful and is often regarded as the most supreme being in the Marvel universe. But it's not always easy to locate such strong characters, not to mention persuading them to join the cause. They do not interfere with petty issues most of the time and only deal with larger issues, so Deadpool's immortality might not draw their attention. On the other hand, Deadpool's movie counterpart gets his powers from a man named Francis. In Deadpool 2016, we see Wade Wilson undergo a torturous procedure conducted by Francis that was designed to activate mutant genes, resulting in his incredible healing factor. This process left him with a disfigured appearance but gave him the ability to regenerate from almost any injury. This concept of near immortality was heavily implied in Deadpool 2 from 2018, when Deadpool survived being torn in half by Juggernaut and regenerates his lower half even though it was slow. His ability to heal from injuries like that, like being shot or blown up, speaks for his seemingly indestructible nature.
So let's move on to another possible way of killing Deadpool with universal collisions, like two alternate universe Earths colliding. This kind of cosmic event has happened before and has managed to kill Deadpool in the comics. Is it too wild to think about? In the Marvel Cinematic Universe, the concept of incursions was introduced in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It's where we saw the dangers and destructive potential of these incursions. If Deadpool were to face an incursion, the immense cosmic energy and resulting chaos would likely be beyond even his extraordinary healing abilities. The forces during an incursion are capable of breaking down matter at a molecular level, leaving nothing for Deadpool's healing factor to work with. So, while Deadpool seems almost unstoppable, there are some events that even he can't survive. Characters like the Living Tribunal or the One Above All. But again, Deadpool would really have to piss them off for them to take action. They have the abilities that can beat Deadpool's regenerative powers.
I mean, when you look at Deadpool 3, like all the trailers we're getting, it looks like they're gonna have to go against incursions and have to stop incursions almost.
This whole multiverse saga has introduced incursions, and I'm sure it's going to play a huge part, right? Like in the future.
Lastly, let's talk about something different. Deadpool's mind. What if we look at his mental state instead? I mean, a severe psychological trauma or emotional distress could possibly put him out of action. If his mind is so shattered, he can't function effectively. He wouldn't be dead in the traditional sense, yes, but he could become mentally non-functional, which is a big thing. Think about Deadpool experiencing extreme emotional situations like losing a loved one or facing isolation. These events could hit him so hard that they impact his will to regenerate or fight. Yes, it's a bit speculative, sure, but not entirely impossible. Emotional and psychological impacts can be powerful even for someone like Deadpool. In the comics, we've seen him go through a lot, but what if the weight of all that finally gets to him? It's worth thinking about. These techniques show that unlike his body, Deadpool's mind could be vulnerable, even though they aren't as promising as physical ones.
Okay, so moving on to the last hope of killing Deadpool, that is the writer's control. Deadpool breaks the fourth wall all the time, which means he knows he's in a comic book. So at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much he jokes or regenerates, he's not really in control. The writers are. After all, these are comic books we're talking about. Anything is possible. We have seen the writers often come up with the unique and unexpected ways to handle characters who seem invincible. So, if the writer really did need Deadpool to be gone, there are creative ways to do it. Maybe a reality warping event or a situation where his healing factor is negated. Like we said, anything is possible. Think about it. It will not even matter how good he is. They can literally write him out of existence. Sure, Deadpool might crack jokes about it or try to fight back in the story, but it's just part of the plot the writers themselves would create. They control everything. They can take away his immortality, then he just becomes a human again, who is easily killable like every other human. Deadpool's consciousness of being in a comic is a fun twist, but at the same time, it shows how powerless he really is. So in the end, it's all up to the writers.
And that wraps up today's video. If you enjoyed, please like, comment, and subscribe. And also comment how you think Deadpool will finally meet his end.
Also, comment some ideas that you guys want us to talk about or theories or anything you guys want us to talk about in next week's video.